Hello and welcome, everyone. Good evening from the side of the world. Welcome to Tech Tales, and we are live coming to you on LinkedIn and YouTube. My name is Hallel, and it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. This is Tech Tales, like I said. So we're going to do something very quick, something very quick. So all you just have to do is you're joining in from wherever you're joining in from in the world. Just go to the comment section, say hi, tell us your name, tell us where you're joining us from. We would like to meet you. Thank you so very much. We are live on YouTube and we're live on LinkedIn. This is Tech Tales, where we bring to life career stories that will inspire you to do more. And trust me, we're not teaching you anything here. This is just a place to chill, a place to relax. And you're back from work and you're trying to stretch your back and you're wondering, what am I going to do? You come on Tech Tales, and trust me, we have a very, very, very interesting story for you today, and you don't want to miss that. So sit back on your couch, stretch your legs, and dive in the comment section. Tell us where you're calling from. Tell us where you're joining us from. I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for joining. All right, so I'm waiting for you. Where are you joining us from? We'd like to know. I'd like to see you in the comment section. Hello. I'd like to see you in the comment section. Oh, okay. We have someone here. We have Uchechi from Lagos, from YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much. Yeah, so come on. Put it up in the comment section. I'd like to know where you're joining us from. Thank you so much. Today is going to be an exciting episode with Tech Tales, and our guest, if you're in the tech support community on LinkedIn, there's no way you wouldn't have known our guest, right? I'm not going to introduce him right now, so you just have to chill. You just have to chill. Yeah, Emeka. Emeka, I see you. Tell us where you're joining us from. We'd like to know. Where you're joining us from. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. So another thing you can do for me that's really going to help Tech Tales is this. It's very, very simple, all right? Trust me. That link you clicked on to join this event, all you have to do is share that link right now. Share that link to your status, share that link to with your friends, share that link with everyone around you. We would like to know. People would like to know what's going on. People have come back from work and they don't know what to spend their time on. I don't know about you, but for me, it's not every time I would like to binge on a comedy to watch or something. Sometimes I still want to, be using my brain, but at the same time, I don't want to use my brain. You know that kind of feeling, right? That's what we do on Tech Tales. We talk about career, talk about office gist, things that happen in your career that are very interesting, that will inspire people. That's what happens on Tech Tales, right? So don't hesitate. Share that link. We're about to start, and I don't want to start with anybody missing anything, right? Share that link. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. We are live, coming to you on LinkedIn and YouTube. We don't want anybody to miss anything. So this is how we do it on Tech Tales. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm still looking out for more comments. Yes, more comments. Oh, all right. We have more. We have Fraser. Hello from South Africa. Thank you very much, Fraser. CBAF. Oh, nice. Okay, LinkedIn user from the UK. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, so we have Anas Majid from the UK. Thank you for joining us, Anas. And Increase Moses. Nice to have you here. Joining us from Port Harcourt, Nigeria. Increase Moses is a dynamic WordPress dev designer. So you can reach out to him on LinkedIn. Thank you for joining us, Increase. This is Bankole. Oh, first time for joining us. Thank you. From Lagos, Nigeria. Wow, I'm so pleased to have you all here. Thank you so much for joining us. This is another exciting episode of Tech Tales, and it promises to be very exciting. I promise you, you're not going to hear anything apart from bands and stories, and I promise you it's going to be very, 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 very interesting. So one more time, we're just going to give it a short time. Go copy this link, share with your friends, share with the people around you. Make sure someone joins the stream right now, right? This was organized and put together for them. It's not only for you. Don't be greedy. Share. Don't be greedy. All right. So Have you shared? If you have shared, put in the comment section, I have shared. If I don't see I have shared, we'll not start. If you don't see I have shared, we'll not start. So share. Now go to your comment section and just put it out there and be like, I have shared or something. Let me know that you want people to enjoy tech tales like you are. All right, so just do that right away. I'm waiting. Okay, in the comment section, I can see. All right, I have Jude Ohabor from Swansea. Wow, Wills, thank you for joining us. Thank you. Scrum Master Jude Ohabor. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Jude. All right. So have you shared? If you have not shared, you are wrong. Come on, people. Come on, people. I want to see a share. I want to see a share before I start. If I don't see a share, I'll not start. If I don't see a share, I'll not start. I can see that our guest is warming up. He's warming up, and he can't wait to come on stage. Nah, I know. He can't wait to come on stage. All right. So I think at this juncture, we're just going to get ready to dive right in. So on today's episode of Tech Tales, we're going to be sharing a story. Our guest is going to be sharing his story on how I landed my new job as a senior BA. It's a very interesting story, trust me, right? So if you want to know how he moved from the job he was doing to this new job and his experience in this new job, how it has been for him in his first month, he just got the job, so he's fresh, right? You have to sit back and listen to Tech Tales. So right about now, I'll be bringing on board our guest very soon. Our guest is none other. Okay. Hold up. Let me make sure our guest is ready. Okay, he's getting ready. Yes. So back to what I was saying. So our guest is none other than Oluwatosin Oludayo. He's a business analyst with about 6 years experience in being a BA in the UK, and he has had a vast experience from working with the government to the private sector, and he's here to share his story. Basically, he's here to share his story, and I wanted to give a spoiler, but I'm not going to give a spoiler. Being a BA in tech, people would think that maybe he studied computer science or something of the sort, but no, you'll be shocked to what our guest studied and how he was able to leverage all he learned in school in tech, right? So we'll be having our guest come on stage very soon. I just want to be sure that he's ready to come on stage. And he's going to come on stage and share his interesting story with each and every one of us. So while he's getting ready, let me just check in the comment section. I have some more people here. Okay, we have Ope. Hello, Ope. Thank you for joining us. Where are you joining us from? You can let us know so we know where you're joining us from. Thank you so much. I hope and I believe you have shared the links with your family and friends. So right about now, we're jumping into the drive to welcome our guests on stage. So with your emojis in the comment section, please put your hands together as we welcome on stage Oluwatosin Oludayo. Thank you for joining us. Welcome, Tosin.
Yeah, hi, Hallel. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, welcome, Tosin. Welcome to Tech Tales. How do you feel being here this evening?
Yeah, I must say you're doing a very fantastic work. I've been following you for some while on LinkedIn, seeing some of the very amazing work you do, people you've been inviting to your platform to share, and I see your
Yeah.
passion for the business analysis community too. Really very inspiring. And yeah,
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tosin. Thank you so much. So, without wasting much of our time, I know people want to just hear the story first hand. So, can you just share with us how did you land your job as a senior BA? This is your new job, and maybe you can tell us where you were and then how you just made the jump. Boom. Yes. Over to you.
yeah, very interesting. Yes, so I currently work with the NHS Business Service Authority. So I resumed. I got the role sometimes in November 2024, which was last year. But because of the background checks I was doing and the notice period I was giving my previous organization, and because I also had to switch my visa from my previous employer's visa to the current employer, I
Okay.
think the whole process probably took like 2 to 3 months before I then finally resumed there at the BSA. So prior to joining here, I was with the Scottish government. Scottish government is such you know, an amazing organization to work with. I learned quite a lot working with diverse range of professionals, and introduced to quite a range of techniques and methodologies I'd never previously seen anywhere else before. And in terms of why how I made that switch, so the project we were working on, I think it's something all over the news. So there was like a huge amount of money devolved by the UK government to the Scottish government to be able to like build some benefits and be able to administer them or like to the Scottish citizens. So that project was coming to an end, and then there was this something they call transition that was taking place. So that means that for those of us who are permanent staffs at the SG, we're being transitioned to like other roles within the core government department. So I just thought to myself, I think I can take ownership of my destiny by trying to just see if there's any opportunity out there for me that I can, just try to see if I can get them. It took some while to make that move because I was thinking, do I know enough? Have I learned enough in this role? Do I feel independent? Do I think I can lead other BAs? What project have I worked on that I can say it has stretched me and I can confidently, brag around that yes, I know enough. I'm good enough to be a BA, senior BA. But I had a couple of conversations with some of our friends who work in very senior roles, and I realized that seniority is a spectrum. That means that
Yeah, yeah.
somebody can have 5 years of work experience, and then they can be a senior. Another person can be have 20 years of work experience and can be a senior. The earlier you start that journey, the more you grow within that spectrum. And I realized that I have I have done some things. I know some stuffs. I coach some people. I have been working in a capacity of a senior, even though I don't necessarily see myself in that light. And I have worked on projects before and in organization before where I was literally the one leading on those projects, and I have people under me. And I just felt, yeah, let me just take this move. So first and first was just like revamping of that experiences. Okay, this is what I have done in this place. Just trying to look at things more from the lens of seniority, more from the lens of leadership. This is how I led, and this was the outcome I was able to like, drive, and the change I was able to bring about. So I think I remember I applied for just two roles. One was with the MHRA, Medicine and Health Regulatory Agency from the civil service. The role involved, so the application process involved me writing some essays. I think about, they call it the personal statement if you're trying to apply to civil service. So I wrote a personal statement, and I would say I have strength in writing. So I was able to look at the core essential criteria they wanted us to speak to, and look at projects I had done before that could speak extensively to those criteria, then just condense everything to like a very long statement. I was invited for the interview. I did a very lengthy presentation, but unfortunately I didn't get the role. So when I saw the role with the BSA, essentially they were asking me to write personal statement, to just a statement about how you meet the essential criteria that this role is requesting. And I looked at it, looked at the previous essay I'd written. I'm like, okay, I think this essay can fit into it. So I just edited a few places, and luckily I was invited for the interview. So I got invited for the interview, and I must say that prior to that time, I had been coaching a lot of people on interview, right? So I've been doing a lot of sessions, working with people, perfecting their skills. I wasn't seeing myself before like I was going to be applying for a job. But because of what I was doing, just prepping people for interviews, prepping them for interviews, somehow I was learning, I was growing, I was perfecting my skills, I was getting better. I really didn't know. So just went to the interview. I remember that day I was really very busy with work, that I just said, God, if I get this role, it is because you gave it to me. Because I knew I had not had much time to do any
To prepare.
preparations. Yeah, but what I think I did was I reached out to a few persons who worked with NHS. But what they told me
Oh,
was
honest.
the questions you'll be asked, they vary from trust to trust. So you may do an interview with the BSA, for example, and then they ask you different set of questions from what you probably would be asked if you were to interview someone else. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go into this interview with an open mind. Whatever they ask me, I will try as much as possible to think on the spot, reflect about my experience, and then use that to respond to it. And luckily, after the whole interview, I got the role, and that was literally just the story. So my previous project was coming to an end. We're being transitioned. I just felt I can take ownership of my destiny by looking elsewhere. I had looked at the civil service website and the NHS website, saw a role, just apply for two. I didn't have the energy to say I want to apply for 30, 40, 50 jobs. So just did a tailored application, and then I was called for the two of them. And then, though I didn't get the first one, the second one eventually like played out well for me.
Wow. 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 If I must say wow, the first thing that I'm saying wow for is the fact that you said you applied for only two jobs, right?
Yeah, I did just two senior BA jobs.
Hello, Mr. Tosin, are you there?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Oops.
Hello,
Yeah, I can hear you.
can
Can
you
you
hear
hear
me?
me?
Yeah, loud and clear, loud and clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was saying, you said you applied for only two jobs, and that is really, really fascinating because trust me, over here, like in Nigeria, I don't know, I don't think I've heard that in recent times because we had an interview in my office a few weeks ago, and someone came for the interview, and I asked him, "What role did you apply for?" And he was like, "He doesn't know." He doesn't know. I asked him why. He said he applied for so many.
Well, actually, my very first role, the very first job I got, the
Yeah.
other time when I was finishing school, I was doing these odd jobs. We call them odd jobs here.
Okay. Bless
We
you.
call them odd
Sorry.
jobs here in the UK. Thank you, sir. Um,
Yeah.
I would go for night shifts. I could do like 30 applications, 20
Wow.
applications, and I did
Wow.
that over a long stretch of months, just because I just didn't know which of them would work out before I eventually
Yeah.
got called for, two jobs then, and then before it worked out. Probably because I think it's a very hard thing for me to say. I'm not trying to make any statement. It's just my personal reflection. I think that the higher you rise, the lesser the competition. I think so. So where if you look at some senior roles, for example, if it was like an associate role or a mid-senior role where you might expect 1,000 application for something
Yeah.
senior, maybe you might have much lesser than that. And so the competition might
True.
not be at first. And also because if you are currently working as a senior, there's a likelihood that you are probably paid a lot more in your company. So what
Yeah.
might make you want to move might be like, are they paying more in this place? Do I have more holidays?
Exactly.
What is like the culture like in this place? So
Mm.
the you're bargaining what you are looking for, you have more leverage in that sense than you're just fresh out of school, you're looking for a job, you just want to apply for anything, and that makes that competition to be higher. And I'm
Yeah.
sure if you're probably looking at a principal BA role, for example, or a vice president senior BA role, I probably wouldn't expect there will be like 1,000 applications for that, maybe like 20 applications, and then the HR will have time to say, okay, let's invite these 10 guys and then let's hear what they have to say. Secondly, I think that if you're already in the system, say you're already working in government, for example, if you work in financial services institutions, say you work with Barclays or with Morgan Stanley or JP Morgan, there's a likelihood that you look more attractive to other organizations within that same industry.
Yeah.
So if you just take time to just look at your application and tailor it very well, you might not need to throw so many applications if you're not venturing out of that space. But it will look
Yeah.
interesting if you have been working, say, with Barclays or JP Morgan, they now want to cross into, like, say, the education space, for example. While you have good experiences, it may not be pertinent experiences to that particular industry you're looking at. So again, that might also like work out. But those are just my observation, probably because I had worked in like two previous government organizations, and so
Okay.
maybe that gave me some bit of leverage. I wouldn't think so, but I think in my head that might have played out. And also writing good essays and showcasing
Yeah.
the right experiences could have played out well. And then speaking well at the interview, being able to communicate experiences. I think all of those might have played somewhat well, which I don't have a view from the HR perspective, but it's just me just trying to look back and say maybe this is what
Yeah,
happened.
that's what helped it. That's what helped it. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So you guys, you heard it. If you're among those that used to apply for 1,000 jobs in a day or 30 jobs in a day, don't worry. The higher you rise, the easier it's going to become. So, Mr. Tosin, speaking of when you said earlier you used to apply for 30 jobs a day, right? So let's take it back a bit. So what was it? How did you get into this sector? First of all, what were you into? What did you study in school? And how did you find yourself in as a business analyst? Or I guess you work in the tech sector, right?
Yes,
You're an IT business analyst or a tech business analyst, right?
I'm just a normal BA.
But in the tech sector.
But my team, I would say my team is a tech team. But I work
Okay.
in government, I work in oil and gas, I work in a normal
Okay.
consulting firm. Yeah,
Okay. Amazing.
yes,
Amazing. So
yes.
how did you find yourself here? Like, I just need to have a rundown of the journey, what you studied, the first kind of jobs you did
Yeah.
before you found yourself in tech. Like, just take us through that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So I studied petroleum and gas engineering at the University of.
Interesting.
So my passion, my thoughts then back then at the University of Lagos was, I want to be a petroleum engineer because when we're
Okay.
growing up, we learned a lot that petroleum engineers make a lot of money, maybe like
Yeah.
500,000 naira per month. I was
Yeah.
already thinking how we live a good life, travel around the world, do different stuff. But like every other story of most average Nigerians, when you finish school, reality hits you. So you realize that there is what you love, but there is also what is available. So I was applying, I'd done quite a number of aptitude tests to a number of places that I no longer had just interest in working as an engineer again, but just something that I could do, just to get me doing something. Because ultimately, part of the things that makes you feel like a man in that sense. Apologies to anyone who would think that might be sounding masculine. Is get having something to do. It makes, I mean, for me, it makes me feel happy that I have something I'm doing. It doesn't matter whether it's exactly the kind of thing I desire, but just the privilege of waking up and just leaving the house and coming back, it makes me feel excited. So when I finished school that time, I was really applying to different kind of roles. So while I was at the University of Lagos, I had built some bit of experiences around like business development, strategy, and operations. So I think the first job I got then was in an oil and gas, non-deck limited. So we're hired as interns, but our work revolved around strategy, biz dev. We're doing procurement. We're introduced to some bit of finance, and logistics. Quite the end-to-end process of the company. We're very much involved in that. And after my 6 month internship, we became permanent staffs, and then we're called business analysts. So business analyst was a title that I ran with for almost like a year and some months before I got a scholarship to study at the Nigerian University of Technology and Management in Nigeria. So at that school, I met one of my friends who had worked as a business analyst before. But when he was asking me what tools do I use, so I was thinking I have only used Excel and PowerPoint and Word all of my life before. But it was like, no, you don't use Power BI, you don't use W, you don't use SQL, you don't do Python. I'm like, what kind of business analyst is that? It told me things I need to go and upskill in those areas if I really want to like be a proper BA. But I was a BA in my previous company, but I wasn't doing that. It was like, but you need to learn this one. So I think that was the first thing I learned, that when it comes to business analysis, where you work probably determines the kind of experiences that you have. So,
Ah, true. True.
so it determines the
True.
kind of experiences you have. So, if you really want to be all-rounded, you probably need to speak with your other colleagues who work in other places to know what they do and then find ways to upskill. So while I was completing that program in Nigeria, I got a scholarship to study at the University of Edinburgh Business School. I remember my second month here, I met a lady, a very fantastic lady, Tony Fawale, and we spoke. She asked me what I was doing in Nigeria. I said I was a BA, and she asked me what I wanted to do after school. I said I would like to see explore BA. Then she started asking me some stuff about stakeholders, requirements. I'm like, what do you mean by stakeholders? Because I wasn't referring to them as stakeholders back in Nigeria. I'm just doing business. I'm just doing strategy. I'm just there.
Exactly.
He was talking about process map. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what is map? You're talking
What's
about
going on
process
here?
map.
Are we
Is it
doing
not?
geography?
Yeah.
Are we doing
She
geography?
was she was mentioning those things, and she said, okay, you might consider upskilling. There are a number of organizations here that help people to upskill. They will teach you the theoretical aspect of this business analysis. It's
Mm,
something you know, but they need to help you put it in context. That when they say stakeholder, these guys you've worked with before are stakeholders. When they say this is a project, right? These things you've done are projects. I wasn't seeing those things as projects. I was just seeing them as tasks. Oh, my
yeah.
mentor wants us to do this. All right, we just need to get it done. So we talked about documentation. So we just knew about just putting things on SharePoint, for example. I didn't exactly know that what we were doing in that sense was documentation. So I did that training, and then I was done with all of that around maybe June thereabouts. And then I needed to start applying for jobs. So I remember there was a girl on Instagram that I wouldn't say I'm crushing on her, but she's really very. I've always been seeing her, I've always been saying that. I've always been saying that. And I was like, I didn't have the courage to send her a DM. So one day I
Okay.
just summoned the courage. I just used time to say, hey, I said that you've been traveling around the world. It's really amazing. One day I would like to travel too. And then she replied me back. And then we got chatting. And then he said, what do you want to do? I said, I'm just finishing school. And then I'm just looking for jobs. And he asked me, what sort of jobs are you looking at? Just to like sound like a serious, like I said, business analyst job or, blah, blah, blah. Then she sent me a couple of links. One of them was a project analyst role with the National Record of Scotland. Then just to show that I'm serious, so that if I want to chat her the next day, I could say, apply for this job. So I saw that role. I was asked to write 4 essays. I shared those essays on my LinkedIn already for anyone who would like to see what that is about. I wrote those essays.
Yeah, yeah.
I applied for the job. So I just thought, let me just check what other jobs are available on this website. And I saw a business analyst role with my current employer. I said, interesting. So I just took the same essay. I condensed everything together they were asked us to write a personal statement. I condensed everything together to a personal statement and I just applied. Luckily, the two jobs called me. So the project analyst role, when I went for the interview, I failed it. I scored 2 out of 5 in all of those questions they asked me. But I remember all the questions they asked me, so I noted them down. Then I went to prepare for the second interview, and then I was lucky that they asked me some of those other questions, and I just passed it. And that was how I got the job with the Scottish government that I was doing that time. So I think the cocoa of the matter is, how did I get into the role? We look for a girl on Instagram, send her a DM, let her do some
You know, I'm
job.
about to ask you what's her name. So let's maybe that's our maybe she's someone's helper here, and she needs to help another person, right? Because I was like, LinkedIn, Instagram, not even LinkedIn, on Instagram. Wow, wow,
Really played a very interesting role. Though she didn't know. But I
wow,
think
that's
on a more
amazing.
serious note, there's a part about being proactive. When people send the opportunity,
Yeah,
they won't apply for it.
exactly,
And
exactly.
you need to be able to connect your previous experiences, write things
Mm,
together, and then
mm,
submit. And if it doesn't work like the way it didn't work in my project analysis experience, learn from it, but make sure you are not sulking in pain or in tears.
yeah.
Move forward. So that was what I did. Reflected about it, took the experiences forward, and then it got me the other job. And then I was in that role, learned quite a lot. And then when I felt like, okay, I think the tides are changing, I need to like take a move. Just did my best, and then got crowned that effort.
Amazing. Amazing. So, guys, you heard it. He's a senior BA now, but he failed the interview before.
I have failed
2/5.
interviews. I remember
Aha.
there was an interview I attended at the University of Edinburgh, my school. I wore my
Eh,
suit. That was my most, that was
come
the
on
suit
now.
I loved the most. My shoe was
Mm.
shining. I wore new stuffs. When they started
Uh-huh.
asking me questions, I felt like the ground to swallow me up. They just said,
Oh my God.
we will not be doing much of let's get to know you. We're just going
Eh,
straight to competency based questions. Are you ready?
yes.
I went to a very nice jotter. As they were reading the question, by the time they finished, I couldn't remember anything. When they got to question number 2, I just was like, can you just stop? Let me just yeah, I don't want this job again. It was so there was an interview I
Wow.
attended, it was a telephonic interview, and the guy was
Okay.
asking me, how do you improve processes?
Okay.
I just muted myself like, what do you mean? I didn't know about bottleneck remover. I didn't know about
Yeah.
all the cyborgs. I didn't know about
Yeah.
boundary defining. I didn't. There are quite a number of things I could have said.
Okay.
I just ended the code. And don't worry, my friend.
Are you serious? Oh, you ended the call.
I'm telling you, don't worry, my friend. I'll do for another person. I feel this one.
Wow, I can really, really imagine because it's beautiful to know that a senior BA has had these experiences, and um, despite that's where you were, this is where you are right now. So someone might be here and be saying, "Oh, this is what I'm experiencing." Well, that's not the end of the world,
Yeah.
and that's it's really, really amazing. But first of all, from petroleum engineering, wow, that's a serious shift. That's a serious shift, and it's beautiful to see how you've been able to gradually move from being a total science student to business, and then not just business analysis, and that's really, really, really amazing. Really, really amazing. I remember when you were speaking, you said you had worked in oil and gas, and I was like, I mean, in that role, you were sorry now because come on, that's your field. Abi, it was way easier for you then.
I wish it was easier.
Are
I
you
remember
kidding me?
the first interview I had in an oil and gas. It was in this
Okay.
company. They were in VI, so there was one office that Saipem was. They were at
Yeah,
the
I
top.
understand.
I think they
Okay.
called them. It was just a new oil and gas. I remember the man. He studied.
Hmm.
He had first class in chemical engineering from OAU.
Wow.
He
Okay.
he came here to the UK, studied petroleum engineering first class. He was now doing
Hmm.
PhD in petroleum engineering. So
Hmm.
I had gone that time. I think it was August. I remember very well. I went for that interview. Oh no, I wore this short sleeve. I was broke after NYC. I think I probably had less than 10K with me. My shoe was bent. I wore tie
Kai.
on a short sleeve. The short sleeve had pockets. I was just looking back. I think I looked like somebody really suffering that time. They invited me up. I know the guy I was expecting, can I meet you? He just went straight. What is the difference between conventional drilling and unconventional? He said, "Hmm?"
At that point, you wish you were listening to your lecturer when he was talking.
I wanted to just run away. He started asking me technical questions. What do I know about oil and gas industry? Say, wow. I'm like, Jesus
He
Christ.
didn't see your CV to see that you're fresh out of
He was
school.
looking at my CV and he started asking technical questions. I'd never done
Wow.
oil and gas interview before, and that time when we were in school, me, I was not a very smart guy, I had just one and just to do like cram like
It's too high you're calling just. Wait,
I have
listen.
one.
It's too high you're calling just. Come. Don't start. Don't start. What you're doing is not fair.
I didn't have any class notes. All of the time when they were teaching us in school, my eyesight were not good, so I don't see the board. I'll just rely on my
Oh,
classmates. So I didn't have any notes. I always snap with my phone, and after the semester, because my phone had it's like 64 gig, I just delete all the pictures. So when we get to a new semester, I go there
start
blank.
again.
So when I was called for the interview, there was nothing to read. So I just knew I
Kai.
had messed up. So when I got the
Kai.
other job, I was happy that it wasn't engineering because I didn't know anything about engineering. It was business. But even that one, I'd never done procurement before. I'd never done business there before. I'd never done finance before. I'd never done, there were a lot of aspects of that business that beyond speaking English, you need to know them, and then there were expectations because if you work in biz dev, you'll be expected to begin business for the company. And I'm like, if I know anybody, will I be working as an intern earning 48,000 naira in this place?
Do you
I was
understand?
living, I was living in, I was living in Awoyaya. From Awoyaya, I would first of all take a bike from our house to the bus stop. From bus stop, we take a car from that place to Aja. From Aja, you now take a bus taking you to Ikoyi. From that Ikoyi again, you now and like with 48,000. I was
That
like,
long journey.
if I knew anybody, will I be doing? But the man we worked with I think that guy is a genius. He went to Harvard, extremely smart. He expanded our what we use. And when you work with a very smart person,
Yeah,
when they start stretching you, you start questioning yourself. So I think those were the things
exactly.
that made the job really very difficult at first because he had very high expectations. He expected you to speak in a particular way, to think in a particular way. You have to think very fast. He's very good with numbers. You expect you to be very good with numbers too. So it was challenging at first until I then began to have a hang of the rule. Okay, this is how they do bidding. Okay, you change this number here,
Yeah.
this is the margin, this is this and that. But sometimes, thank God for COVID, I started applying for scholarship. I'm like, I'm done in this place. you know, yeah, it was
Wow,
challenging.
fantastic story, man. So before we leave, just one more question for you. So on this new job you're having, I think you've been there for about a month or two. So just share with us what was your first month like? How did you balance into the role and get your hang of everything? What were the things that happened? Did you goof before you cut yourself, or how was your first experience basically?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, and this is not me trying to be a good ambassador of the company, but it's an amazing organization, and I would really encourage anyone who is probably looking for to look out for BSA. It's an amazing place to work in. It doesn't matter it's a BA role, whatever role
What's
brings
the meaning
you
of BSA?
business service authority.
Okay.
It's an amazing place to work. So when I joined, there were quite a number of us. We were recruiting a number of BAs because the project scope was, increasing, and I needed more BAs to be able to do that. So we met with all of the senior leaders. They had already arranged a call for us to meet with the senior leaders. So you meet the senior leaders, sharing the vision, sharing their experiences. They were just so warm and calm that you literally would feel like this is a place I need to be, right? So the first few weeks, like every other new role you join, you do your onboarding courses. There were quite a number of courses to walk through. I was able to get by those ones maybe in my first or second week. Then I started
Okay.
scheduling calls with the BAs that were there. I think it's really nice to see that the BA community there, the BA practice is really quite large. I think there are quite about up to 60 BAs in that space. I think they're up to 60 BAs. So I've been
Wow,
scheduling
60.
calls. Yeah, I've been scheduling calls with BAs, just asking them what has been your experience. They've been very generous, explaining, what has been their own learning curve, trying to ask them for advice. When you join a new place, it's always good to try to speak with people who are there long before you are joining. There are things they know, their perspective that they can share with you. So I've been doing that. It's been really so amazing. Luckily, I got drafted into a project, which I've been trying to look at. Again, what I've been doing is speaking to the BAs there who have worked on a similar kind of project like that before. Again, trying to ask them what's your approach, what's the perspective you can share with me, and I think it's really been very very nice. Just speaking with people, trying to like hear from them. What do you do? How do you go about it? Are the challenges you face? And then it's been so nice. And I would say that I've also been, booked for some training courses. So here, the current project I'm working on is really very heavy on producing a business case. So prior to joining this place, I'd always thought there's just one single kind of business case. But as I will find out, there are like three sort of like gateways to business cases here. There's the SOC, there's the OPC, and then the
Wow.
full business case. So one is like at the strategic level, just trying to build a case that this is something that is worth doing, and then the other one is like fleshing it out. Then the final one is then building the full one. So I've been drafted to like a course just for as part of, again, boiling down to what I said earlier, an amazing organization that cares about your growth, your knowledge. So they knew that because this is something you will do not just once or a lot, you need to be formally trained in that. I've been speaking with other BAs who have been sharing resources, templates, and it's been so helpful. I think just to summarize, it's been a lot of speaking with senior management teams, speaking with my colleagues, people who have been there before, I joined, and then trying to work my way through some of the onboarding, which is really fantastic. Yeah, that's been my experience. I'm liking it, and yes, and I'm also like looking forward to the more interesting part of the work, as things like evolve.
Amazing, amazing. Nice one, Tosin. So it's beautiful to know that there are reasonable companies that still allow people to settle in before they begin to give them tasks that are overwhelming. It's beautiful to know, because trust me, and personally, you don't want to know that story for another day. Another episode of Tech Tales, we'll talk about that one. But it's really beautiful to know. So people can actually believe that this happens. So, guys, it happens. You can get a job, and your company will train you well first, and they will not expect it, and the sky and moon from you before, without even teaching you anything or trying to show you what they expect from you, and that's really amazing. That's really
Yeah,
amazing,
and I think
fantastic.
that that's also one of the differences between applying for contracting roles and applying for permanent roles. I
Okay.
think when you apply as a contractor here in the UK, you are expected to hit the ground running because they are paying you a lot of money. For example, you get a
Oh.
contracting role where you are being paid like £750 per day or £600 per day. That's a huge amount of money. You are expected to be an expert, just hit the ground and start running. But again, it's not to say that all companies are like that, and it's also not to say that um, every other company too. When you join, they will say that you don't know anything. We have to train you. It's just a way. just part of the systems and processes they have in place, just to be able to ensure that we are not running on any assumptions, or we are trying to make sure that
Yeah,
and our rules, our guidelines, our ways of
exactly.
working, and everything just into place. But yes, you are really very correct, Hallel.
Yeah. That's amazing, fantastic. So, just one last thing, I just want to hear from you. With your vast experience in being a business analyst, do you think it's possible for organizations to run the kind of projects you've been on without having business analysts on them?
Hmm. I think that's a tough question, and I wouldn't see myself as being super experienced. When you
Okay.
work in one project, if you go to another one, you literally will be like, okay, let me just calm
Yeah.
my head and see how things are done.
Yeah.
But I think there is a case for business analysts working in project environments. When it comes to like, and this is not me trying to reel out some of the theoretical things I saw in BCS during my training, or from some of the things I've seen more practically. Sometimes when you work in an environment where there are a large number of stakeholders to work with, somebody needs to like be able to work with those guys. If you
Exactly.
focus only on the implementation part of the work, let's just build, let's just write the codes and just deploy them. There are critical people that you need to have consulted. That's, when you eventually build what you are building without speaking with them, you will not be able to realize the change that you're trying to like achieve. Imagine spending £2 million, £10 million on a change project, only for it to land to the hand of people that should use it, and then
And they
you are
can't.
saying like, they are rejecting it, it's not meeting their requirements, nothing is being done. I think there's a case for that in terms of stakeholder management. There's also a case that sometimes they can be too focused on their BAUs, where they are looking at this is how we are currently doing it, and then they are not looking wider beyond that. So, how should we be doing it? What are the gaps for improvement? What opportunities do we have in terms of eating our TOM, right? A BA will be able to like uncover all of that. And many times I always tell people, and also something I learned from my business analysis training, a business is more than just like looking at just the financial part of we are making money, we are selling products, or we are talking about just technology. This is the entirety of that is a business system. So you need to look at people, you need to look at the organization, you need to look at the processes in place, you need to look at the information available to people, you need to look at things holistically. And that is a case where I think BAs are able to like manage that. Or more recently, I was looking at the McKinsey 7S where they are talking about we're trying to introduce like a change to a business environment. There are a number of 7S you need to look at. You need to look at the strategy, these systems that we're trying to deploy. How does it impact on our strategy? Because it's just easy to see that okay, this is an area for improvement. Let's just buy this piece of technology and then boom. But you're realizing that that is not helping us to implement our strategy, right? You're looking at
True.
the systems in place. So if we buy this new system, how is it going to impact on the current systems that we currently have? So if we buy this, do we need to buy that? Do we need to buy this and that for this to be able to work? So you're looking at the whole architecture and seeing how things are
Exactly.
interconnected. All right, you are
Exactly.
looking at the staff, you are looking at the they have. So if we introduce this change, for example, do we need to upskill our staff for them to be able to, be of use in this context? So a BA is able to look at those things holistically and then able to like offer, their piece of recommendation that will help them. I remember a project I worked on one time where we're trying to work with this service area and they were already so focused on we need to buy this system. This system is going to help us to do this. By the time we did the analysis, we worked with the areas to ask them what exactly is the problem. What they kept saying was the system is not intelligent, the interface is not intuitive, the interface is not intuitive. We realized that that is the only problem that they have with that. So, and their complaint is coming from they've seen a demo of a similar system that looks more attractive, and they think like this is better, be able to produce a better dashboard. And by the time we did more in-depth digging and digging, we realized that the current system they have is actually on an older version. If we upgrade to like a better version, the UI is going to like be much better, the experience is going to
Exactly.
be different. And if we also incorporate just a particular module, a new module to that, it can handle documentation well perfectly. And so that literally saved us from buying like a new piece of software that will have incurred a lot of money in terms of our capex.
Exactly.
Then you think about licensing, you think about staff training, think about migration and all of those things that needed to happen. So I think that if there were no BAs in that context, it's just easy to jump from problem to solutions
Problem.
without realizing that actually we can explore another avenue that could have led to like maybe like cost savings. So I think in terms of managing change holistically, in terms of like building cases for projects to be able to see justification for these, in terms of like looking at the whole aspects of a business system beyond just the technology. I think that there's a case for BAs to be able to play in that and then help the organization to better manage things without just looking at things only from the lens of just technology or IT.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on Tech Tales. Thank you for sharing your experiences about your field interviews, the past interviews, how you transitioned. We are really, really grateful. So if you're all right, let's just go through the comment sections quickly. Okay, someone asked when you were Oluchuku, she asked when you were get doing the interview for the job, this your new job, were you asked to complete any task, or was it just the personal statements you wrote? I think that's
Yes,
her question.
this is my current job. No, there weren't like any tasks. It's just personal statement as part of the application, and then the proper interview. But for the other one I applied to that I didn't get, which I suspect it was because of my right to work, because they were asking me to show my BRP before we started the. They were asking me to show my
Sorry about
BRP
that.
before we started the interview. So the BRP, what they were just trying to see is what sort of like visa, I was on. And as I will find out, they were not sponsoring. So it
Oh,
was already like a red flag for them. It wasn't They weren't sponsoring. So I would think that it was because of that I didn't probably get the job. But that one, I was asked to do a presentation. So I was given this very interesting case that I goofed in some part of that too, but I learned a lot from that. So I was asked
actually,
I
yeah,
was given
yeah.
I was given a case. Case was they have a case management system they were trying to change, and they have a front end system that they're also trying to change. So that is like the two piece of work. So imagine that there is like a website for tech tales where there is a front facing part of that where your
Yeah, yeah.
followers can see, and then at the back end there's a case management system where if anybody input anything, it comes to that case management. So I was asked when I was joining that project, what would be my approach to like either supporting or delivering that piece of work, and then but the major ask was what questions will I ask them to be able to know what to do. So me, I just went straight into solution mode. I will use a double diamond.
Aye.
I will do discovery. I will do the definition. I will do develop. Then I was defining the various things I will be doing, mentioning the artifacts.
Yeah, yeah.
La, 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 la. And then when I finished, man was like, okay, so now start asking me the questions. I said, what questions are you referring to? He wanted me to ask questions to get clarity about the work. And
Yeah.
I didn't see that in that case. I didn't have any questions, right? I felt like I could have been,
Wow.
but
Yeah.
why I did show to them I understood the work. And I think one of that question they asked me was how many what's so I had estimated that the work was going to probably take like maybe like 20 or 30 sprints. But
Okay.
maybe like 20 sprints. I think I had written in my estimation, because I think looking back, he didn't know I'd made a mistake. I had written maybe like 10 sprints, but it was like
Okay.
actually look. I said it would have taken me like maybe 12 weeks or so. He told me actually they were in sprint 52. That would mean that 52 times 2, they were in week 104. So I think to him, I was like, maybe because he didn't get what I did. So when I was breaking down the
Okay.
double that I had done, this discovery would take like maybe 4 to 6 sprints. This one would take. So I was building on the sprints, but he was thinking I was looking at them independently. This is 8 to 12 sprints.
Oh,
So he
okay.
thought I was right, but I knew I was wrong. But I took it as a good learning point, and I had done a presentation of that to a number of persons within our community too, just to show them this was a case I was asked to work on. This was my presentation. This is the mistakes I made. This is
Yeah.
something like I've done if you have something something similar. But yes, that was my experience with that one. There was a mock. Sorry, there was a presentation, but in this one,
Okay.
there were intense
Was
mock.
nothing. Just oral interview. All right, so we're coming to a close. So I'm just going to give you an opportunity. You're big on LinkedIn, and we know that you're like, uh, I think Back recognized you some weeks back, and you're one of the most recognized business analysts on the scene. So can you just talk briefly about what you do on LinkedIn? Talk about your community, and invite people to come on board and join you to push what you do.
Interesting. Now that you're asking, I'm beginning to think, what do I really do on LinkedIn? Um, I think I write. So
Okay.
I like to see myself as a writer. So and probably that's influenced by the kind of things I like to listen to. I like to watch TED Talk a lot. I like to listen to
Hmm.
pastors. I like to hear something that could make me to think. So when I think about them, I try to see is there a link with this thing with what I do
Hmm.
as an analyst, and I write about those. Before I used to write, share more technical things on LinkedIn, but I realized that that is not so natural to me as much as writing about my thoughts, my feelings, my experiences, and I do share that. And I'm happy that some people can resonate with that and think that okay, this is speaking to me. I like to share. I like to share something that is inspiring because I realize that sometimes we need a little dose of inspiration for us to move on point A to point B. So I like to do that.
So much.
Um, yes. As an aside to that, we have this community for business analysts called BSphere, and the
Yeah.
work we are really very simple. We organize webinars just to support people who are working in that tech space. Come and hear from other guys, who are working as either BAs, working as PMs, working in OCM space, working in any sort of like space. Come and learn from their experiences. Because I don't believe that you have to stick only to the BA space for you to achieve career fulfillment, especially as
Yeah.
an immigrant in this UK where you need like a source of livelihood. You need to get into something first, and then you can always find your way, all around it. So we do that at B Sphere, just organizing webinars. Next week we have a webinar where somebody working as a product owner is coming to share experiences, how she moved to that space. And just 2 weeks after that time, we're inviting an amazing lady, Temitope Oresoya, who is going to be sharing about
Yeah.
the community. I think the
Mm.
space where you need to be, and then you're able to learn about some of these things I'll talk about. For people who have done interviews who have failed a number of times and need somebody to work with them, I do that, just as a way to also like support people within that respect. We can always chat more about that and see how that works. And the reason I do that is the mistake I see some people do is they only prepare for interview where there's an interview in view. You need to prepare for the battle before the battle is actually won.
Mm.
So just getting you to speak, getting you to practice, working on cases, I think is help people to build confidence, especially as this BA space is now very competitive. You want to reduce your margin
Very,
of error
very, very.
by every time you get it. So that is basically what I do. I write about my thoughts, sometimes about BA, sometimes about life in general, and then we have a
Mm.
community that we are building just to support the BAs more and more. And then for people who struggle a lot with interviews, I always try to find a way to support them and then collect something very little as a way to show value for my time.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. So if you're here and you're just joining us, this is Tech Tales, and we have with us here Oluwatosin Oludayo. And I can see in the comment sections that there are tons of questions, but our time is far spent. This is a relaxation time. We didn't come to burn your time, but we just came for you to help you relax, right? So we're going to be winding down to a close, but if you have more questions, all you have to do is come on LinkedIn and type Oludayo Oluwatosin, and you're going to see him. Trust me, he's a thought leader. You can't miss him. Nothing can make you miss him. You just see him there, jump in his DM, say hi, and ask him your question. Right? If you want to join the BA Sphere too, that's also amazing. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Tosin. It's really a pleasure having you. Don't worry, I'll be following you. Once there are more stories, I'll be sure to bring you back so I can give us, what's going on in the whole BA world. Thank you so much for joining us. I really do appreciate you. Tech Tales appreciates you. The back community appreciates you. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you. I'll be taking you out now. All right, people. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you. Don't forget, Tech Tales is brought to you by the BAC Business Analysis Consortium, and it's a pleasure to have each and every one of you come on this event. Thank you so much. We overshot our time a bit, teeny bit, and I'm so sorry about that, but I guess you were having a very good time. So as we come to a close, just jump in the comment section. Tell us, how was the event? How was the event? Come on, tell us, how was the event? If you loved it, say it. If you didn't like it, tell me. I'll learn. You know, Tell me, I'll learn. We'll get better, right? So just give us your feedback. Let's know how you enjoyed the event, and if you're here, you're a professional, be it in tech or any industry whatsoever, and you have an experience you like to share with us, come on board. Send me a DM on LinkedIn. My name is Hallel Rain, and I'll be there to listen to your story and bring it to the world. That's what we do on Tech Tales, nothing else. I don't have any other job. But on LinkedIn, I'm known as the only business analyst that you know. So go on LinkedIn, connect with me. I'd like to connect with you too. If you want to know when the next episode of Tech Tales is coming up, there's no fixed time. There's no fixed time. Anytime it's in come to come, you know. But it was really nice having you here. Thank you so much. Right about now, we'll be drawing the curtain to this event. Thank you so much for joining us. I am grateful. All right. Have a nice day.
See your face. I wanna know your heart. I wanna walk with you every day of my life. I wanna see